E aí, pessoal, agora eu vou convidar o Gjoko para poder falar para a gente. Queria só avisar que, como a palestra dele vai ser em inglês, né? Se você pode ir lá e habilitar a tradução automática da palestra dele, tá bom? Gjoko, are you ready, man? By the way,
yes.
You are in mute. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Cool, man. So, can you share your screen, please?
Yeah,
Then I can
try this.
drop it.
Try this. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Just let me share it and just sending. Cool. Gjoko, man, introduce yourself. Feel free, and you are online, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Everson. Let me see. Let me just start this and then I'll continue with the introduction. That's it. No more songs. Sorry for that. Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Gjoko Krstic. I will discuss today about digital signage systems, the modern hackers outreach, and the related research that I've done since I think June. Short introduction, of course. My name is Gjoko Krstic. I'm coming from Kumaro, Macedonia. I'm an information security engineer, founder of Zero Science Lab, member of Gugutka CTF team, and member of International Cyber Threats Task Force, CTF developer, and ping pong amateur. And during this period, since 2019, the path of challenges I've been doing research or trying to do research about building management systems. So, continue to terminal and traffic cameras, biometric access control, did some research on ISP provisioning software, home automation as well. And then from 2020, in the Corona age, started to do some research about digital signage because the coverage was not that much present even in the 21st century. Of course, some media servers and players, which is really close in the same category as digital signage, and encoders modulators for if you want to hack the digital video broadcasting systems and hack a TV station, right? And let's see the topics for today. We have the introduction, of course. We will see what is digital signage system. We're going to see the applications of the system itself. We will see some public incidents happened throughout the years regarding the public, not public, but yeah, regarding digital signage systems and digital billboards and wayfinders. So we'll explain what it is. And we'll discuss some common attack vectors, and including several cases regarding IoT devices and software. And of course, later on, we will continue with outreach. What can you do with it? How can an attacker expose or abuse these systems, and how, in quotes, easy it is to hack it? And then intermission, or the end, of course. So signage systems are visually oriented information systems, basically signs you see on the road, maps, arrows, which way you go, color coding systems, pictograms, and different typographic elements. The use of digital technology to publicly display content and messages is known as digital signage. Basically, these types of displays that you see in the mall or in the stadiums or throughout the city, or in the menus in, I don't know, maybe McDonald's, when you can go to some burger shop and see some prices and pictures of food. This is basically a digital signage system, infotainment system for the general public, let's say. And technologies can include monitors that work with LCD, LED, or projectors. Content can include everything from images to video, audio, live streaming media, and important notices of or information, basically text-based information regarding some notification or some emergency, maybe alert message. Wayfinding is really also some different pronunciation or different terminology used in digital signage systems. This is because people orient themselves in physical space. This is a similar thing that you've seen, and I'm sure that you've seen this in city malls, that you can just navigate where's the bathroom or where the cafe are So this is a sample screenshot from a Fox television network wayfinding system. How can you navigate to the campus and go to some different stages or commercial buildings? And you can change this. If you hack this type of systems, you can modify the content and do some, chaos, let's say. But we will talk about that also later a bit. So let's see where we can see, and I'm sure that you've all seen, but maybe you didn't notice or didn't, put your mind to it, or how the digital signage system looks like, or is it just a display? It's basically a digital billboard as well, so can be used both indoors in places such as malls, restaurants, office lobbies, movie theaters, airports, stadiums, etc., or outside like railway stations, bus terminals, and of course digital billboards or billboards. So besides that, you can also see them in some supermarkets like promotion or point of interest systems. And yeah, you can modify for example, the airport system for flights that arrive and depart. You can also modify that. That's also a digital signage system as well. So maybe they can be in two types of digital signage system. One can be standalone with the player attached to the display in the background as an IoT device, right? And then communicates with the content server and then back to the content administrator that creates the visuals or the animations or the message itself, videos, pictures, and etc. And basically, you can see an example. Let me show you just some examples of digital signage system throughout. Maybe this is in Tokyo. This is an indoor digital signage system in some movie theater, let's say. And these types of digital signage systems are present all around the world outside. Maybe, you see some bus stops there, McDonald's promotional, commercialized messages and everything. So basically they are used to trigger some action, engage interest in the public, attract attention, retain loyalty. Those are the keywords basically that salespeople do when they promote their digital signage solutions, let's say. So diagram or digital signage diagram. As I said before, you have a content administrator or a workstation or some server that you have it in your store, or a centralized solution that you can monitor and control multiple displays or multiple signage players. So you have the content administrator that connects to the internet and then connects to the CMS or content management server, and then the content management server has and can be used to control plenty of signage players. And then you go from signage players, there can be plenty of signage players that control plenty of displays or screens. So basically from a CMS or a content management server perspective, you can control thousands of displays at click of a button from one centralized solutions. So I will show you some examples that we did research for several solutions and cases that you can clearly see how dangerous it is to use digital signage systems as a centralized solution to monitor or to control thousands of displays throughout a city, throughout a hospital, throughout a mall, several floors, and huge malls. You can have more than 10,000 displays at one location to control the contents and just spread your message or outreach, right? So let me discuss, or just let me show you some of the public incidents that I've tried to find something visible on the internet that have been recorded officially to the public, and we can see some examples with screenshots. Unfortunately, we cannot show videos, of course. So this is from 2013, Hacking the Outdoor Digital Billboard by DEF-CON. They showed the picture on the left. You can see clearly a digital billboard was defaced and some, just for lulz. You're doing it wrong, skull phone. There's a video on YouTube, you can check this out, and the talk, which they used wireless hacking here and physical hacking, basically, because they came to the billboard itself, not from the internet, and then modified the content, exploited the logic behind it. This is another example where the Alabama digital billboard hack targets Florida Senator Marco Rubio in 2016. They just modified a Photoshop picture of the senator and just put him in a gay parade scenario. And this is a camera taking a picture of that billboard, which was hacked. And I think it was ongoing for like 3 or 4 hours. So a lot of people could see that. Cyber attack claims multiple airports in Vietnam, 2016 also created chaos and panic. Flights saying that it was departed or delayed. So you can misguide a lot of people here and do damage. And we will discuss about also the the cyber attack vectors, and specifically for the web attack vector for exposed maintenance interfaces, let's say. 2017 hack with a friendly warning in Liverpool. They hacked a billboard in nearby the stadium, and they used hashtag JFT for justice for the 96 people that died in, I think it was 1989 at Liverpool Stadium. There was a football match and a lot of people died. Exactly 96 of them died. So this is like a message or contribution to that. So this is like how it looks like to deface a digital billboard. Hack digital signage system displays porn in Union Station 2017. So you can see clearly on the left, the images are too small to see here, but everything is defaced here near the trains. But on this side, you can see clearly there's a porn scene within the Union Station. Play the movie. The hackers did that. 2018, of course, Bristol Airport flight information display system, flight closed. So there was a general chaos there. A lot of flights were canceled. Pornhub on Yagan Square, so you can just basically, insert or load an external website within the content server and then make the player show that website to the display outside. And this is outdoor. You can see clearly the keyboard here and the website opened. Some of the digital signage systems are also interactive, so you can just, using touch screen, you can modify that, but basically there are a lot of different types of systems that we can discuss and the security of those. Yeah, Ironman cyclist included in digital sign hack in North Carolina 2018. This is basically a road sign, but as I said, signage systems and wayfinding and just signage is basically, as you can see on the picture, you can just modify that and manipulate the message, what you want to show to the people while riding on bikes, right? A-holes on bikes. And critical vulnerabilities in digital signage system could allow access to attackers to default passwords. This is basically the latest I found. And this was the picture from the article. I'm not saying that the New York Times Square was indeed defaced or hacked, but yeah. Let's see. So who wants to hack a billboard, right? Everyone wants to hack a billboard, I'm guessing. Common attack vectors include exposed management interface. You would be surprised how many devices or systems are exposed on Shodan in total. I think it's like 5,000 per on the 10th vendors, I guess. Well, because this was not the research that I was doing. Everything was coordinated and, white or gray box approach, let's say. So including known vulnerabilities, including default and hard-coded credentials. You can see a lot of devices online without even authentication or authorization in place. You can just visit the website and there's a web management portal that you can just modify the content and spread your message, right? Lack of encryption as well. Clear text password stored on the database as well, misconfigurations and social engineering, of course. So based on these attacks, we can break entirely the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of those systems. So let me start by, show you some of the examples that we've published, and some of them are not even published yet, but after this conference, I hope it will be published, or maybe tomorrow, but let's see. So this is Cayin Signage Media Player, root remote command injection. Basically, there's a command injection in the NTP, test tool where you see input like testing a website or testing an IP address, like maintenance tools or diagnostic tools. You always immediately try to inject some shell commands, which in this case it worked. And basically, We used also the default credentials, which were not changed on any device, so the security awareness were not present there, and you could have just enter and gain full access to the player itself. So you can modify the content on that player as well. Cayin CMS, there's a management server, the same code base, very similar code base, and you can see here on the left, there's a request on the NTP server IP, which I just used $ and wget, and then I just used the user agent option to just see if the management server will call me and set the user agent. And then on the right side, you can see a log that I saw that the actual system initiated a request to my verify.zerosigns.mk website. So user agent was set. So this confirms that it's like command injection successful, which was blind. That's how I managed to see if it's working or not. Or basically you can use collaborator, birth collaborator, just to verify this. They even created a Metasploit model for this. I think it's published 2-3 months ago, fully working, and you can see at the end you can gain root access directly to the management server, which is dangerous, and this is how it looks like. So the management server controls several, maybe hundreds of digital signage players or media players, and you can just access those by IP address and then continue to go deeper and change your message. WebAdmin and WebAdmin were the default username and password for this. There's also a Microsoft Windows-based software called Cayin xPost, which is digital signage system as well. It's used to for content creation and entire experience for animations and scheduled messages like PowerPoint. And you can do a lot with this software. But there was basically a SQL injection, unauthenticated. There was a Wayfinder module here with meeting input JSP, and then you just use dump file to write the contents of this here lead content, which is a web shell basically, and then you continue with correct column, and then upload the JSP on the web server, and then access it. Also, there's a Metasploit model for this written, and you can run it, and then anti-authority system access, and then you basically it's game over, right? So this is about Cayin xPost. I think it's like a Taiwanese or Thailand-based company, and there are a lot of displays in those like Eastern countries, let's say. Everything is shiny, right? Bright and shiny. Next example is the Plexus anblick, which is just an open redirect. I'm just showing you to have an idea what type of vulnerabilities are shown in these digital signage systems and how they are protected. So this is just to show you what has been covered so far, even though this is a low risk vulnerability, right? All of the vendors, even the Cayin vendors and anblick, they didn't respond, or maybe they did respond, but they didn't understand what I was talking about. So they were just drop the communication when I tried to explain what is this reason, why am I contacting them to, make them safer, of course, to let them know about the issues. Case number 5, UBICOD Medivision. There's a CSRF at superadmin vulnerability and the privilege escalation through authorization bypass. Basically, the proof of concept below is just once you're logged in as a normal user, you can just issue this request and set your value for the FTGRP parameter to be 3, which is admin, and that's how you become admin and you escalate privileges. The interface of the web interface of the UBICOD Medivision looks like this. As you can see, there's usual, the usual suspects is display, contents menu, schedule, and publish, and user authentication, authorization control, and category manager. And imagine you have 835. This is an example only, but this is basically they use this system in hospitals. So there's 835 displays throughout the building, maybe. And this is also part of a smart city implementation as a component, let's say. So imagine if you, control 1,000 displays in a building, for example. So you can control everything, basically. With the one click, you can just even erase everything or show inappropriate messages or spread your message, if you want to be heard. Not just the internet savvy or technical people, but just outside, like physically, while people are walking on the streets or in the malls, you can just see your message, which I think that's why it's, you know, titled the speech as Modern Hackers Outreach, right? Case number 6, All Dynamics. This is a German vendor that you know, creates software for digital signage systems. There's a CSRF admin and session fixation. The session fixation, basically, it's really rare to discover, but once you discover, it's really cool to just, you know, report it. And they just, you know, they replied to my submission, and they created a patch within 2 days. And basically, you just you know, visiting, you send this link to the victim. He clicks on it. He's redirected to authorized, which is basic authentication here. Let's say admin, and then once he or she authenticates, the session remains the same, and that's how you can take over the session. Once he's logged in, you can just refresh your you know, browser session with that specific session ID, and then you'll be logged in as the user that's logged in with authorization. I think it's admin here. So session fixated. And this was published, and the vendor patch was released after 2 days. And this is the only vendor that produces like official patch from all of the vendors I'm going to show you. Case number 7, QiHang Media. This is also, I think it's in Thailand. Cookie user password disclosure. You have clear text credential disclosure in the cookie value as well. Unauthenticated arbitrary file deletion. Everything is unauthenticated basically in this system. You can delete, you can disclose, you can even upload ASPX web shell and issue arbitrary code unauthenticated. And there's a simple request pre-authentication remote code execution here. You can post, and then you can see there's no cookie setup here. And then here ASPX web shell, that's the part where you just upload a regular web shell of ASPX web shell, right? And then you can modify also this resource remote path value, so you can directory traverse here, also an issue. And then this is the response, and you see that you can get set cookie here, but it doesn't really matter for the system. I think the real problem is in the server. So you can see the successful 200 AOK first through second CMD to ASPX that was uploaded. Then you can just call your web shell and execute arbitrary code, not as an anti-authority system, but yeah, this is just an example. And this is how it looks like for QiHang Media. This is actually in the browser. It's a web administration interface that, you know, looks like a desktop, like a Windows desktop. And then, yeah, you can see what you can do: resources, send, background task, program, upload list. There's the CMD SPX. There's the resource path, and then basically, as previously seen, open the resources CMD SPX, and you issue whoami command, right? Arbitrary file deletion. You can list or file disclosure as well. A lot of vulnerabilities in this system as well. So you can just list all the directories and file names in a current directory. And this is just an example of name bin, and then there's a lot of, you know, long list, let's say, after that. And you can just delete any resources if you want without authentication, not even ID, and then delete data and specify the absolute path here. And imagine you can just do all the displays to be showing black screen, right? Eibiz Media, case number 8, configuration disclosure, remote previous escalation, account takeover, file path reversal, and authentication bypass, or add administrator without authentication. Basically, this system was interesting because it uses the AMF action message format, binary format, that's used to serialize object graphs such as action script objects and XML, or send messages between Adobe Flash client and the remote servers, usually a Flash media server, and maybe sometimes third-party alternatives. Once serialized, and this kind of messages or packets encoded object graphs may be used to persist and retrieve application state. That's about the AMF. So authentication bypass, basically you can just, even if it's binary, you can, you know, reverse engineer the protocol and create your messages by specification, which is online and public and available to read. And you can just, because this software solution didn't use any, it had the login prompt of the web management, but if you send directly like a, you know, insecure direct object reference, if you send direct message with the payload, you can just, you know, do anything because it doesn't, you know, check on the server side for authentication as well. So you can just create a user without a password and your admin. This is a microfilm, and this is the exploit, how it looks like when you run it, just for fun, right? So authentication bypass, this is how it looked like when you do a request, post request with message broker AMF binary protocol, and it's not shown here exactly, but you see what I'm doing here. You can check the exploits online. Using remote messages, these are used to send RPC requests to a remote endpoint. And these messages use the operation property to specify which method to call on the remote object. The destination properties indicates what object service should be used. So you have a, you can read about it and just understand how it works, and just you can create your payload. And this is type of response that you receive. So that's why I need to send the packet twice. Once I send it, it says on detect duplication HTTP-based flex session, and the other one and acknowledge, which means successfully exploited the service. These vendors did not reply to any of my communication effort. So this is how it looks like when you create your account with highest privileges with create, update, delete, read permissions. So you get several users on the system, control thousands of display from one location. You can turn on, edit, capture screen, east, west, in the whole city. See what's displayed on the digital signage system as well. You can change these. You can see how they stream. So they use media players or media stream players like VLC media player, as you can see here. Windows machines or workstations as players as well, maybe using the Cayin software, or in this case, Eibiz. You can see information about systems. This is just a regular interface, so you can see how it looks like. And the other vulnerabilities, of course, are file traversal and disclosure of configuration. Just navigating to this properties, it shows you admin, designer, and so on and so on. The remote privilege escalation, basically, if you understand how the protocol works or the binary protocol, you can just specify anything, basically. I mean, I could have just say this is one vulnerability that doesn't use any control, but yeah, you can have several titles. This has been published, of course. The vendor did not reply at all after several tryouts. So they use actual message form of binary protocol. I think maybe they do security through obscurity, or they didn't configure it as it should. So that's why you could just, any username, just send the payload. And this is the specification of self-contained packet. So case number 9, I mean, backdoors everywhere. So we found several backdoors in several solutions for digital signage system. One of those are bSwiss digital signage system, because let's see the steps. For example, we exploited default credentials, which is admin maybe, exploited the file upload, which it allows you to upload PHP code, PHP files that you can execute, authenticated only, get the SQL database, find hard-coded backdoor account admin_m or maintenance with level number 100,000, because if you see user or the structure of the users, you see user number ID 1, 2, 3, and that's it. But when you see 100,000, now all of a sudden it's suspicious. And basically, once you log in as this user, you can see additional features and menus hidden by the normal user. And this even was not documented in the manual itself. So we had to crack it, and we cracked it. And then you have unauthenticated reverse shell. And this is how it looks like as well for this solution. The vendor has been informed, and after that, he didn't provide any details when they plan to release a patch, and so on and so forth, right? So this is how it looks like for the bSwiss system. Once you get access, you can have weather forecast controls, objects found, anything. This is just for, to show you how it looks like for this type of system. You can change the menu or the food on the screen. Spinetix Fusion, database backup disclosure, for example, one issue. Once you go to this endpoint like this, you have directory indexing, and once you have directory indexing, you can see the file name, which is custom file name S7Z, and then you extract it and then cut the user password from within the configuration backup, and then you have admin and testing was, for example, for with the hash provided, which easily is crackable. And you get access to the hypermedia player control center of Spinetix. BrightSign as well. There's an unauthenticated SSRF or server-side request forgery. It's really simple. Just when you speed test using the speed test feature, you can specify local IP address and see if port 22 is open. There was a lot of issues with this BrightSign. Cloud content resources and secret disclosure by abusing non-arbitrary file disclosure vulnerability. AWS secrets disclosed. Static XML configuration read within the web application software itself. Catch the stream. There were previously reported issues about this. This is how it looks like, how you can catch the stream with media player. Just specify the link to the content and you have it. This is some display in Mexico. Interface of BrightSign, snapshots, menus, right? And vendor statement, because he stated that if you don't follow the guides they provided, which I explained that it's a vulnerability in your software, not not to provide them suggestion to the end users to use password protection or turn on the feature or protect yourself. So I needed to explain. That's why they released this statement. And yeah, you can do whatever you want with this information, but basically it's still unpatched, right? Case number 12, backdoor as well, recursive media server. This is basically connected with display digital signage systems, because you can manipulate the media server, what is shown as content provider, and then modify that. And basically you can do this, and it's used in those videos or movies that you watch in the airplane while you fly. That's also media server solution, and that's like also a digital signage system. So you can control that. You can authenticated remote code execution, because this request internal utilities was hidden and non-documented in the manual. So you can just see what type of functions you can do. Basically, I've used this quick file uploader thingy and uploaded a page code, PHP code to be exact, and executed no root, but it's still arbitrary code execution. And you needed to discover which type of the NAS server access you have and which name of the folder it is. So I did some regular expression here just to know what am I doing, basically. 13, Adtec Digital is also a multiple product. It's also part of digital signage system, and they had default credentials, which or hard-coded credentials of root, so you can access the root directly and wreak havoc, basically. Or use their API system that you can just use this command, sys the shell some of the cat any file, and you can see the root password here, easily crackable. It's like one root exclamation point. That's the password. And once you get access, before, of course, you can read about the various features. I mean, basically, check this out. I mean, this is if you become logged out and are prompted for a password, use the following key secrets for access. Select up, select enter, right, enter, and you're in physically, right, on the display. This is the digital video broadcasting, like hacking a TV network, right? And this is how it looks like when you hack an encoder or modulator or digital signage system. It's the same interface. They have the same code base for any product they have. That's why I said multiple products, default credentials or hardcore credentials. So you can hack like 10 different devices planted in some network station and change or modify content. IDS Pro, exploit default credentials as well, exploit insecure direct object reference, create a user, and with that user list all user IDs. You can bypass authorization because they use client-side protection, which you can bypass from the console itself and just type add to call the function for adding users, and then assign those roles to that current user, and then escalate and take over. So this is how it looks like for DSS Pro. Exposed login page. There's a CAPTCHA system. We can bypass that. There's a vulnerability as well. This is how it looks like when you want to create a content. You can see that there's a RSS, or there's a web button on the right. So you can include external websites with content, HTML or otherwise, and then present that and review the content. As you can see how it looks like, right? So you can check this, for example, when you call a hidden JavaScript function. You can see on the screen there's no button to click add user or anything like that, but it was hidden and it was using client-side protection. So if you just type add, this menu pops up. Whatever you specify here, it will be successful and it's going to add that user. Once that user is added, as we've seen before, you can just list user IDs and list role IDs and apply all permissions to create a role. So you can create yourself a user with regular normal user and then escalate privileges and take over. And this is food for thought. They were using Java applet called upload2, which is also publicly available, free, open source, and they just say the string success was not found in the response body. So imagine if I just intercept the request, or the response at least, and just change it to success. I would be able to upload any type of file on the given device/software, right? And yeah, the captcha code was really funny. You can just, issue a request, you get the captcha code, and then you use that code to bypass it. It's really simple. Not even an image. It just gives you back a data, and you can use that data to supply it within the request itself, which is basically here 6435, and then you have success true. All right, and this is cookie password user disclosure, boss true, passwords and everything. Another case, just a small one, 15, just log information disclosure, types of vulnerabilities you can see, downloaded launcher. It disclosed content, passwords, paths, and you can just continue from here and just hack away. But yeah, the vendor also was contacted. They said they knew about this issue, and they will bring back the authentication for these log files, not to be able to be accessible without authentication. And this is a predictable file name with year, month, day. This device, how it looks like as well. Sony BRAVIA is an interesting case because it's the latest and it's not yet published, and the vendor was contacted. I'll show you later. Sony BRAVIA, there's an improper access control. EDOR, cross-site scripting, and remote file include. So this is a page manual how to add user authentication to operation web application. But people usually don't do this. They just install right out of the box by default and just continue, right? And basically, if you find or search online, you can see a lot of exposed devices. You can just navigate to the web management interface, no authentication needed, and you can just start, changing content. Not saying that you need to do that, but still, it's way overexposed. This is how it looks like for Sony BRAVIA. The TVs that they had implemented as I think it's a module within the TV, the actual hardware, right? The actual display, maybe that you have at home, and you can, make your TV as a digital signage. It isn't just to show some animation, right? And this is the contents and everything. So content creation menu can be hidden or showed. And you see on the left, there's nothing. And if you go show, it's gonna show the content creation. Once you go to the content creation, you can just navigate to this EDOR here, content creation, without even showing here or hiding. And then you still will be able to see that and create content. And check this out. For input URL, for example, you have an HTTP, not HTTPS, and an HTML content to, fetch data from a remote or external resource, which is dangerous. This is basically where the remote file include works. And they had some limitations, of course, available HTTP for the contents, no support for identification for streaming playback, and not support to play website with X-frame option within the iframe of the website that you're loading within the web management, not the display itself. Either way, once you do this remote file include request, HTTP only, cross-site scripting SVG file, for example, and then you receive this type of response, which is a vulnerability itself. And you can see some menus like this. And the vendor response, and usually I don't do this with for bug bounties because I'll explain later why. And the team has confirmed it's working as intended, as the Sony BRAVIA digital signage system has a function that can turn the authentication function on and off. Not that easy. You need to edit the XML file, stop the server, edit file, save, and then start the server again. Nobody does that, apparently. And authentication was not enabled for the tested device, so access was intended. And the report changed the status to informative. And before that, they changed it to high 7.5 CVSS score. But they just decided to ignore the vulnerabilities presented for this digital signage system. What about the advisories? A lot of the advisories were not present, since 2008, let's say. I've seen on PacketStorm, firm channel, cross-site scripting for digital signage system, right? Then in 2018, also the same. This is for PacketStorm, and then from Singularity, BrightSign digital signage system. And then this is from my side on June that's where we started to publish advisories regarding digital signage system. This is from IBM X xPost exchange, sorry. You can see there's a 2008 as well, but then you can see 2016 Cube Digital Media, signage, session cross-site scripting, security bypasses, file override 2017, traversal, local file, previous escalation, default account, file upload, command execution, 2019, etc., etc. ISO database, also not that much, 2008, 17, and then from 20 up, everything happened this year. So why are these digital signage systems not that much exposed? So IoT, bug bounty and disclosure, right? There's an article written on InfoSecurity magazine saying successful bug reports on IoT devices are low because whereas researchers can test web apps relatively easily, getting hold of a physical IoT box to fuzz is more difficult. That's why we are engaging in this different situation where we ask the vendor to provide access, or if you have friends to provide this, or you can have clients that they have this system used and it's not in scope, you can just ask for research, they will provide you access. Why not, right? So why is this happening? Lack of security for IoT products. Companies are not security mature. Incentives to invest in security are missing. Hardware and technical problems as well. Customer demands for security is low. A lot of people are not asking for how secure this display or signage system is. Regulation is missing, of course, and awareness missing on security value, right? So what would be the outreach? You can do hacktivism, of course, signage defacement, spread information or misinformation, political misdirection. You can do prank, you can do scam. For example, the latest was with on Twitter scam for Bitcoin, right? So you can do this also for digital signage. Just post an address for Bitcoin, right? You can use the botnet. You can use it for botnets and DDoS possibilities as well. Or you can create panic or chaos within airports, as we've seen, train stations, stadiums. You know, those NBA finals, when they happen, you've seen that display in the center of the stadium, 4 displays, you know, like 4 random sites. And you can also modify that. This is how it would look like if you deface a digital signage system in public, in broad daylight. There are 3 different scenarios here, part of Hackers Movie, BHack conference, and just a signage system, not digital. This is just, you know, defacing this with a spray or just putting a sticker. That's how it is, right? The next GIF, it's from a YouTube video created in 2012 to promote a movie series about, I'm not sure what, but you can see how it would look like if you hack Times Square with your own image. One second, right? It just needs 1 second, and this is from a centralized solution to control several hundreds, let's say, displays in a city, and just, you know, just put a static image and that's it. And this is not a real hack. This is just a viral video to promote an episode or series in 2012. But this is just to have an idea, right? So this is the end. I think I'm not running out of time. And obrigadísimo to anyone and everyone. And of course, if you have questions, then I'd like to give a shout out to Crash and Maxi Solera, which I saw he's here today as well. Thanks.
Hey, Gjoko, awesome. Very, very cool talk. I'm gonna ask in Portuguese if someone has some questions. Galera, se alguém tiver alguma pergunta, pode mandar aí no chat. So, Gjoko, let's wait a little bit if someone gonna send some questions. Yeah. So, Gjoko, if someone send later, I can forward to you, and also there is your email in the slides, so they can reach direct to you.
Yeah, sure.
Man, also talk. Thank you so much for taking part in the BHack. So
thank you, man. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much again, man. Thank you, cheers, man. So see you, man. Bye.
Yes, thank you all. Cheers.